Hey guys, welcome back. This is Ashley with Brindle Babe Designs, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make the Jasmine cardigan. It's a beginner level pattern. It's very simple to work up. It's worked in one piece for the body, and then the sleeves are worked separately and then seamed together. In this video I will be working up the cardigan in size medium. Be sure to check out the blog post for the full pattern where you can get sizes extra small to 3X and the details for each of those sizes. Alright, for the materials, you will need a 5mm crochet hook and a 4mm crochet hook. The 5mm crochet hook will be used for most of the cardigan. The 4mm crochet hook will be used just for the detailing on the sleeves. You will need 7.5 skeins of Lion Brand cotton jeans, and this yarn is a DK weight 3 yarn with 218 yards per ball, and I chose for this pattern the color Classic Indigo. You will also need a tapestry needle for seaming, scissors, and stitch markers. Let's get started. To start, you will chain a total of 144 stitches. We will now work row 1. To begin, you will work 2 double crochets in the 3rd chain from your hook. You will then skip 1 chain and double crochet 2 in the next chain. And you will repeat that until you get down to the last 2 stitches. Once you get into the last 2 chains, you are going to skip 1 and work only 1 double crochet into the very last chain. At this point, you should have a total of 70 V stitches. Moving on to row 2, you're going to chain 2 and you're going to work 2 double crochets in the center of the V stitch from the previous row. And then another 2 double crochets in the top of the next V stitch from the previous row. And you'll just continue this until you get to the end, where you will work only 1 double crochet in the very last stitch. Now I've worked up a total of 41 rows of V stitches for this size. We are now gonna split our work in 3. So we will have 3 different panels, the 2 front panels and the back panel. This will form your armholes. Okay, now starting from the outside of your work, working in, you're gonna count a total of 17 V stitches. Now make sure you're not counting the double crochet at the beginning of your row, because that does not count as a stitch. And you will place your stitch marker right after that 17th V stitch, so in between those 2 stitches right there. Okay, so now you're just going to continue working from the outside of your work to the stitch marker, and you'll just continue doing 2 double crochet at the beginning of your row, work your 17 V stitches, and then I'll show you how I do the double crochet at the end of the row. Okay, now we've reached the end of our row. Once you get to your stitch marker, you're just gonna work in a double crochet into that space where your stitch marker is. So in between the two V stitches at the end. Now you'll just continue as normal, and working the next row you will chain 2, work your V stitches, and you're going to continue this until you have a total of 18 rows from where you split your work. To work your opposite side panel, you will attach your yarn to the outside of the other side, and you will repeat all these same steps. I'm now going to show you how to work the center panel, or the panel that will act as your back panel. To begin, you are going to make a slip knot. Now you're going to attach your yarn to the same space that we worked our last double crochet from our side panel. So in this space here. And you will go ahead and chain 2. And then you're going to work a total of 34 V stitches across. And I'll show you again where you work your double crochet at the end of the row. Okay, now when you get to the end of your row, you're going to work a double crochet into that same space as where your stitch marker is. So that same space where the double crochet was worked from your other side panel. And then you just continue working on, chaining 2, working your V stitches across. And you'll work the same number of rows as your side panels, so you'll work 18 rows. So I went ahead and continued working on, but I wanted to show you guys on this small sample how I do my seaming. So how I connect all the panels together. So at the end of each top row of my front panels, I left a long tail so that I could use that for the seaming at the top. So you're just going to go ahead and rotate your panels forward and line them up with your back panel. And we're going to grab our tapestry needle. And so lining all the corners up, let me get in close here. You're going to go ahead and work your needle on the opposite side as where your tail is, and just weave your work in and out. You want to make sure you're getting to the bars of the stitches at the top here so that your seam is nice and secure. But you'll just work in and out, joining both the front to the back. You'll continue weaving until you get to the end of your front panel, and you're going to go ahead and repeat the same steps on the other side panel. Now this is going to act as the inside of your work, but you want to make sure you check your armhole depth to make sure it fits you before you finish tying everything off. Now we're going to work the sleeves. I went on ahead a little bit, but I'll explain it here for you. You're going to start the same way you started the body. So you're going to go ahead, and the only difference is you're going to go ahead and chain 52 stitches. You will then work 2 double crochets into the 3rd chain from the hook. You will skip 1 chain and double crochet 2 in the next chain. You'll continue on until you reach the end of the row, and you will work a double crochet at the end. You will work this same, so that's for row 1. You will continue working a total of 10 rows. Now we're going to move on to the decrease row, which I'm going to start showing you here. So we will now work row number 11 of our sleeves. You're going to go ahead and chain 2. You will then work 1 double crochet into the center of the V-stitch from your last row, and then 1 double crochet into the next V-stitch from the last row. And that's how your decrease works. You will then just continue working your normal V-stitches until you get to your last 2 V-stitches of this row. Okay, now that you got to the last 2 V-stitches of your row, you're going to work 1 double crochet into the center of the V-stitch from your last row and the same to the next. And then you'll do 1 double crochet into the very last stitch to end your row. Then chain 2. And moving on to the next row, you're going to work your V-stitch into the center of the 2 double crochets from your last row. And then continue working your normal V-stitches until you get to the end of this row, where you would repeat the same steps. And here we are at the end of row 12. You're just going to do your same V-stitch in the center of these 2 single double crochets, and then work your double crochet into the last stitch, and that will complete row 12. And continuing on, you're going to work rows 13 to 20. Those are going to be normal rows where you won't be doing any decreasing, so you'll work your normal V-stitches across. Rows 21 to 22 are going to be decrease rows, so you will repeat rows 11 and 12. Rows 23 to 29 are going to be normal V-stitch rows where you will not be doing any decreasing. Rows number 30 to 31 will be another decrease row, and that will complete your decreases. Pictured here I have a completed sleeve so that you can see where the decrease rows end up. Row number 32 is going to be a normal row where you just work your normal V-stitches across. But now we will be moving on to the detailing of our sleeves. So you're going to switch to your 4mm crochet hook. Now to work the first row of your sleeve edging, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to work 2 half double crochets into the very first stitch. You will then work 1 half double crochet into each stitch across until you get to your last stitch, where you will work 2 half double crochets in the end. You want to make sure that at the end of this row you have a total of 38 stitches. You will repeat this same row one more time, and you will want to make sure that you have a total of 40 stitches after working this second row. Okay, now we're going to begin your detailing rows. To begin, you're going to chain 2, and then you will double crochet 2 times in the same stitch, and then you're going to double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. You'll now skip 2 stitches, and you will double crochet into each of the next 4 stitches. Now you're going to chain 2, and you will double crochet into the very next stitch and each of the next 3 stitches. for a total of 4 stitches. And you can start to see here the sequence where we work 4 double crochets, you skip 2, work 4 double crochets, chain 2, and then work your 4 double crochets directly in the next stitches. You will repeat this sequence until you get to your last 6 stitches. You will now skip 2 stitches and double crochet into each of the next 3 stitches. To end, you are going to work 2 double crochets into the very last stitch. For step number 2, you're going to chain 2, and then you'll work a double crochet into the same stitch, and then you'll double crochet over the next 3 stitches. You are now going to skip 2 stitches and work 3 double crochets over the next 3 stitches. In the chain 2 space, once you get there, you are going to do 1 double crochet, chain 2, and another double crochet all into the same chain space. Then you're going to work another 3 double crochets, and you will repeat this sequence until you get to the end. In your last stitch, you're going to work 2 double crochets into the same stitch, and you will go ahead and just repeat this row 2 more times. To finish up, all you're going to do is join the edges of your sleeve and seam them up along the long edge. You will then line up your sleeve to the armhole of your cardigan and seam everything together. Once you're all finished seaming, turn everything inside out, weave in all your ends, and you're all finished. Thanks so much for following along. I hope you love this piece as much as I do and had as much fun making it as I did. Please subscribe and let me know how you like this video.